Hey.
What's going on? What's going on, fellas?
I mean, I'm going to say it every time, but Ben isn't on. So I'm no longer just like entertaining Ben who made that intro video. That intro video, it makes me feel so important, you know?
I like the music. That gets you pumped right there.
You're ready to rock.
If you can believe it, it was the first song that we looked up. And it was just...
It was the first one?
The very first one. Ben's like, just pick a song. And I was like, all right. Like, I just went through my playlist. I found this one. I was like, oh, this is nice. And
yeah, it's like a little funky, like I don't know what like genre of music that is, but it sounds like, I don't know.
It's like deep house.
Give us a dance, Dustin. Come on, man. You can't be around me. You can't dance. Give me a dance.
Look, you need to see the color of my skin, right? I mean, it's like, you know better than that. You shouldn't see me and my wife at my wedding. You know, it was absurd.
It's all in the shoulders. You got to move the shoulders.
Shoulders and hips.
If you get enough cocktails in me, Ray, I am a real dancer. Like I will go all the way with my moves, all the way.
I'm gonna take up on that. I will.
Yeah. What? We gotta do that lunch that we were talking about. So maybe we just pivot that into a happy hour and go from there. Ray, you live in Phoenix, so you're in the most competitive real estate market in the United States of America, and you're killing it. So I think the guys just wanted to get a killer on and kind of hear your experiences and have you share your story a little bit. So maybe to kick us off, you could give us an elevator pitch of your real estate business and maybe a little background and then maybe a little real estate business and where you're looking to go, and we'll just kind of play off of that.
Okay. So currently I'm a real estate investor. I do creative financing, creative structuring. Wholesale is my bottom business. I've been at it for 2 years off and on. My first year was a good success. I went bankrupt from actually wholesaling and traveling the world. And then I took a year off, went to work, depressed, with my head down, kept working, came back, built the door knocking team. And got my first creative financing deal from door knocking, and that kind of set the plight for where I'm at now with creative options and financing. Currently, I'm in the Phoenix market. I do roughly 3 to 5 deals every month. I'm not a huge volume guy. I like to get the most maximum cash I can get out the deal. Instead of 10, 5, I want to get 30, 40, 50, 100K out of many deals I can get for my business.
What's your average contract right now?
My average contract?
Yeah.
30,000.
30,000. Good for you.
Is that a lot?
I've been in Phoenix. It is. I mean, I know guys that are paying $7,800 for a pay-per-click, cost per contract acquisition for pay-per-click, and then they're maybe making $15,000 on a 2x multiplier. That's not very fun. So that's 30 is double what a lot of guys are doing. Yeah.
And so my business changed. I used to do the same thing, but now I shifted my business where I'm thinking bigger. And that's the concept that I promote, is thinking outside of the box. A lot of us are moving deals where we're just making an extra 5 and 10. And on my first deal that I did with Jesse Burrell, was my first deal. I made about 10,000, and I'm not sure what he made, but I know he at least made $40,000 to $50,000. He will never tell you how much he made. But I know
it's weird. Everybody else shares their checks. You mean because you don't want to show you?
I don't think so. There's ways of making more money if you think differently, right, on your exit. So when I look at a deal, I'm looking at how am I going to approach this deal on the entry, and then I'm looking at how am I going to maximize my dollars on the exit, right? So I'm not in a huge rush to make 10K. Like, my pockets are big. My bank account is good enough where I don't need to do volume, where I want that 10,000. I will wait 30 days to make 30,000.
That's awesome. Yep. For sure. I had somebody else. I had a friend that's on the he does scaled national advertising for a home acquisitions brand, and his sentiment was very similar. That you're not looking for thousands and thousands of leads, even though he's doing scaled acquisitions for a national brand. You're not looking for thousands of leads. You're looking for the ones that are most likely to work with you because you have an offer that works for the home seller. You know what your offer is. You know when and why it would work for the home seller. And so you just pursue that. And so Ray and I we haven't talked in a while. And so we were talking before this thing. And if everybody that's watching here can switch their mindset to go from supply side to demand side, the old axiom in real estate is you make your money when you buy. And that's still true, of course, right? But the mindset shift, the shift is that, hey, focus on what the demand is right now. Focus on what people want and what they need and what they're trying to accomplish in this market. And then they'll solve the supply side. And then you're able to hit those $30,000 margins in your local market, right? Maybe 50 and bigger. Some of these people in these submarkets where you can pick up houses for $60,000, $70,000 and sell them for 120 on the MLS. I mean, that can be scaled, even though it's one deal at a time. It can be scaled, right?
100%, 100% can be scaled. Yeah, and that's what I moved in. So I moved in a lower, I want to say a D-class market in Kansas, Missouri, where your paychecks are going to be small. And this is what led me to kind of play with creative financing. Now, I don't have a mentor. I pretty much just kind of learned as I go when it came to creative financing, just by reading books and learning information here and there. So when I reach into these little, Kansas, Missouri markets, I noticed that the wholesale deals were 1,000, 2,000. My volume was higher. I can do way more deals in those type of markets. And I do suggest people who are just starting to jump in those markets, because you can really boost up your marketing and your capital if you go to those markets, because nobody, and I mean nobody's really crushing it in these markets. There's plenty of room where you can do major things in it. And I say that in comparison to Phoenix, Arizona, there's probably 80 gurus out here. And I remember when I was door knocking with the team, and we went to one property, and as we got out the property, and we got out the car and looked at the property, 5 people just drove by, snapped pictures and drove by, right? And that's how competitive Phoenix, Arizona is. Now, I flew out to Missouri to look at some properties, and no one's called. I looked at the property, no one's called me. You're the first one to make an offer. And I'm shocked. No one's called me, made an offer on this? No, no one has. So that gives people an opportunity and an idea to really jump into the C-class, D-class markets where you can knock out, 1,000, 2,000, and scale that business where you can jump into Florida, you can jump into California, you can jump into Texas with a little bit of capital if you do so.
No, I think I see what you're saying. So you're suggesting that people working these deals might penetrate other markets and go for the base hits and those base hits. Yeah. Okay. Low hanging fruit. So then those small deals line up to being able to be a player in the market that you would maybe prefer to operate in. That's a cool way to go. Yeah, I like that a lot. And then it costs you a lot less money to have conversations with homeowners and go through the trial of error of screwing up conversations with homeowners, because you have to screw up a lot of conversations with homeowners before you're gonna know how to talk to them. Cool, I like that a lot. Thank you for that's huge.
And let me throw this out there. So me and my business partner, we went out to Missouri, we flew out. No marketing research, no nothing. We just had a lead that came through that the person wanted 10,000 for a property. So we're just 10,000 for a property. We're on a plane. We're done. We're out there. So we flew out. We looked at the property. The whole neighborhood was a trap house. So we kind of backed away from that. But in the meantime, we were there for 3 or 4 days looking for properties, networking, getting to learn the market. It was a good experience. So we took an idea, and the idea was we were going to go to CVS. We were going to grab a couple of signs, and we were just going to mark up, I buy houses, because I literally seen none in the place that we were. So we posted up a few and we're like, hey, let's test it out. We put 15 out. We came back out to Arizona and we got 3 phone calls from that. And that kept me going back to Missouri and Kansas ever since. So just for putting those up, I've been coming back. I'll put up some more, and I'll get calls, and people are like, hey, I got a house, I want to sell it. Really? And I'll look at it, and, oh, it's a deal. Like, okay, this is a pretty good market. It's totally different in Arizona, because if you came to Arizona, every corner literally has 15 bandit signs on it.
With different numbers.
Different numbers. Like
now in that case, you're more on the supply side than you are on the demand side. So I see what the difference in the strategy is between a market like Arizona and a sub market like wherever you are in Kansas. So that makes a lot of sense. But then if you're focused on the supply side because there's not a whole lot of competition, then what is your demand side in a small market without a lot of competition? How do you find those end user buyers?
That led me to creative, which is I am the buyer. So majority of these is I shifted my focus. I shifted my business just by playing around in the different market where I was able to make mistakes on doing creative financing and learning from people who they're already, I want to say in the Midwest, they're already kind of familiar with a lot of the creative financing strategies. A lot of them know about they know about contract for deed. They know about land contracts. And some of the homeowners would be like, yeah, I know what that is. I my granddad did it and somebody else did it way back. I know about it already. Where if you were to make mistakes, and I did, the people kind of educate you. Don't you need to go through title for this? And don't you need this? And don't you need that? Oh, yes, I sure do. Okay, thank you. And you can kind of learn by trial by error through that process. So on these deals in Kansas, I shifted my business where now I'm collecting doors. So I'm buying these instead of wholesaling them out. I'm actually keeping these and adding doors and adding profit to my company. And my company is ran off of cash flow. So
congratulations, man. Well, that's freaking awesome. I mean, so everybody comes from different places in life, and I am looking to figure out what you have figured out. That's actually where I am in my life. Is I say, wow, this is a really good opportunity. How do I get myself involved in this? And I've never bought outside of Arizona. I've never bought outside of Maricopa County, right? So I'm excited about the journey. I'm excited that I have a friend. So we talked earlier, and so you have made a presence very quickly. There's a lot of people that like you out there already. So can somebody bring you a deal, and where would you like them to bring in certain markets or any deal? How do you communicate with people that like you?
So I throw out my number all the time.
Oh, cool.
The only reason I do that because I grew up off of Mike Jones. So I remember when Mike Jones would just throw his number out, and that's how he became popular.
Awesome.
So I throw my number out to people so they can get a hold of me and get access to me. It might piss off my wife at night, but it's okay. She'll live with it. They can also reach out to me, via phone, or they can inbox me any deals anywhere. It doesn't matter. I literally go over deals with so many people in my inbox. I'll call them up. We'll talk. I'll run them through the mentality first. I'll run them through, what it takes to make an offer and how to make an offer.
Awesome.
And guys can reach out to me anytime. I'm an open book. The one thing that put me on this path is when I used to reach out to gurus, I would get no response. It'd be crickets. So I decided when I get to a certain level, like I want to be reachable. I want everybody to be able to contact me, reach out and be like, hey, Ray, I hit you up in your DM. I responded. I responded right back.
It's funny because I put that offer out there all the time, and it's funny how few people actually take people up on that. But
that's true.
I went to Brandon Simmons had a creative finance event here in Phoenix last week. I went to that, and I had a couple guys that I just haven't seen since like 2005 doing this stuff together. Knocking the doors in the streets in 2005, and so. Some of those guys are doing what you're doing. I picked their brain. Like, yeah, anytime. And you never feel comfortable asking for favors, but that is what a community is, right? You're asking for support because there's so much opportunity across the community. And so let's talk about your community. That's tell me how your network, builds your business and what you do with that.
So my network came by, I don't want to say mistake. I want to say it came by accident. It's because I hired a mentor, which is Brian Ponciano, who was teaching me. I thought he was teaching me real estate, but he was like, you don't need real estate. Like, you know too much about real estate. Let me teach you about having the mental capacity to be who you want to be. And part of his process, he had me networking with people, right? Because I knew a lot about real estate. Like, I was an analyst paralysis for like 5 years, reading at work, reading books and being gracioso when it came to real estate. So I was stuck there and I knew a lot. So he had me reach out to people. I would take people to lunch. And I wouldn't take no cards. I would like, hey, put your phone number right here on my phone so I can have direct contact with you. And I did this for a good year, where after doing that, like, now I know so many people and I have direct access to them. On top of that, I would reach out to people in inboxes with value. I didn't reach out to people asking for favors. I would literally, now personally, I was using ghost ads. But I have a deal, right? What are you guys looking for, right? What do you guys want? Is there a deal that you want? And I would kind of open up that conversation just to build a network where down the line where I'm at now, it benefits me where if I have a deal, I can move a deal. It doesn't matter where the deal is at. If I need advice, I can ask for advice. Doesn't matter what area it is. It could be in development. It could be into wholesaling. It could be to whatever. I can call Dustin up, like, hey man, I have a fourplex. I have no idea what to do with it. Help me out, right? That's a good network to have where I can get information and start learning how to actually move this deal. And I think that's a key aspect to really getting into real estate. And that's how I stumbled into it. I think for me, the benefits of being creative is being creative with your network. And a lot of people are not. And for me, a lot of my business comes from realtors, where I actually reach out to realtors a lot, because when you think about somebody looking to sell their home, who's the first person they contact?
Yeah, right? Definitely. Realtor.
Right. They're not going to contact an agent, right? So that's the first person I want to start talking to, is like, hey, what do you got? I'm in the market, I'm doing this. And over time, that brings you into a market where you're getting retail, right, and wholesale at the same time. Because realtors have deals that I didn't know about. I used to read about them, which they used to be called pocket listings.
Oh yeah, they're huge.
Old school stuff, right? It used to be pocket listings. Now there's realtors getting deals and they don't know what to do with it, right? But they probably hold a wholesaling and they're trying to look, what wholesaler do I know? I don't know none in my network. If you're that guy, they're definitely going to reach out to you and say, hey, Ray, hey, I got a deal. Hey, Dom, hey, Dustin, like, hey, I got a deal. Like, I can't list this thing on the market. It needs, 80,000, 100,000 in repairs. What can I do with this junk, right?
That's awesome.
And that's where we take it.
Well, let me ask you, what's your Instagram handle? We'll put it up on the board so everybody can follow you on Instagram and Facebook and whatever. I don't know what all of you young guys are doing these days, but what is your Instagram?
So it's Ray Spencer 27.
Ray Spencer 27 is Instagram. And are there any other channels that you would want people to reach out to you on?
I'm on Instagram, Ray Spencer 27. You can catch me on Snapchat at the same. Facebook, it's Ray Spencer. Those are the three channels I am. I do have a YouTube coming up from my Out of the Box investors coming up pretty soon. So
what is Out of the Box investors?
Out of the Box investors is me putting together some education on a new way that everybody can do wholesale. By being a little bit creative. So there's kind of what I just mentioned about reaching out to realtors. A lot of people don't think that they can collect deals easily through agents just by giving them a call. And I started my business where I would actually go on Zillow and I would click on the agent tab, and it almost has every agent who's a real agent in that tab. That's doing a lot of deals who are really in the marketing. They want to be listed in there. So I'll call each one and see what they're working on, what they're doing, and bring that to it. So there's a lot of different ways that people can think outside of the box and create a deal from absolutely nothing, no money, no marketing, no driving for dollars, literally just picking up the phone that you're already paying for monthly And that's what out of the box investors is.
That's amazing. So I want to talk about mentality next, but for this commercial break, and not a commercial break at all, but generally, Bam Bam says hello. Bam Bam says that he reaches out to you and that you've helped him on some stuff. So that's freaking awesome. I mean, that's what we're here to talk about, is how to utilize your network to be able to do deals across state lines, across my understanding of creative finance. I don't know anything about it, so I'm reaching out to people like you, trying to figure out what to do. So I want to talk about mentality, but before I do that, we have a contest. Ray is giving away $200 to people who tag others in this Facebook post, wherever you're watching this. If you tag your friends, then you are entered. Dom, how does that contest work, actually?
Yeah, basically tag your friends. Every tag that you put up is one entry. At the end, we'll pick a winner. Ray's going to announce that to you at the end of the live stream.
Cool. So tag all of your friends. Ray, Benny says Ray's helped me out a lot too. That's cool. So I mean, it's real, guys. Like, we don't come up here. Oh yeah, that's awesome. So we don't come up here and talk about this for fun. I mean, we come up here and talk about this because we want to build our network also, right? You want to build your network across the United States of America so you can do a deal anywhere across the U.S. and you want people that trust you and you trust, right? So this stuff isn't rocket science. So that's a network. And then let's talk about mentality. I mean, you're a killer, right? And so in order to be a killer, you have to be able to approach a conversation. I think you said it already. Who was your mentor? Brian, what was his name?
Pontiano, Brian Pontiano.
Yeah. So he gave you the understanding that you approach a conversation without fear. I don't know what you said exactly, but it was something along those lines. So let's dive into mentality. What does it take to help a homeowner understand that you are the best human to work with in their market?
So to get to that aspect, it's a lot. The hugest thing that people are going to run through is fear. And fear never changes. Like I've Benny, one of my guys who just reached out, is going through something I went through. I used to be scared to talk to people for the longest time, and I
still am. Just to put that out there, I still am. Sorry, scared to talk to people. Go ahead.
It's the same. Like, I still go through it where I'm scared to talk to people on my first initial call, and it's always the first one. After that, I feel like Superman, and you can't touch me. But the first one, I always get that anticipation, that hesitation, like something in me is saying, you don't know what you're saying. You don't know what you're doing. This person might yell at you. This person might cuss at you. So it's always there. It's learning how to get past that and learning how to get over that and do it anyway. And the way that I got my mentality is I started to build a mastermind. And it's just weird how this happened. But right before the COVID, I'm a huge reader. I'm huge into podcasts, and I'm huge into audiobooks. I like to learn. And I started to go to the library, and I got a free library card, right? This is free. Just to learn up on some information. While I was reading in the library, right, I would read certain books from certain people. I would go to, I would learn about math. I would learn about sociology. I would learn about engineering. Like, there's different books that I would pick up. I wouldn't read the whole book, but I would read just sediments of the book. And as I was doing that, I learned that I built a mastermind, right, around me, right? I wasn't paying $100,000 to join a mastermind. I had one that was free, that I got a free library card, and I would go to the library every day to read from Elon Musk and the books he had and get like a few ideas from him. I would read about one book that I really liked was, I know people don't like Trump, but I read a book about Trump. I was curious about him. And
let me just put this out there: 50% of people do. Just so
well, there you go. There you go. So I read his real estate book, because I was like, what is this guy about? And I seen the book. It was there posted. I read about it, and he had a quote that stuck with me that said, "If you're gonna think, you might as well think big." And that kind of stuck with me forever. That I've been thinking small, right? And here I am using my mastermind to get ideas and learning how to have a different mentality. And I started to think a certain way. And that led me through a path of learning how to deal with myself, learning how to find resources, learning how to tap into other people's power, right? Now, you might be scared to talk to somebody, right? Let's say Dom is scared to talk to somebody, but Ray is not, right? Dom has my phone number, right? I'm in the business. Dom can reach out to me anytime and say, hey, Ray, I got a seller. He wants to talk. I'm terrified. I got it. Pass it. Alley-oop, send it my way. I'll slam dunk this thing, right? In the process, you'll learn how I talk to people, right? And you'll say, if Ray can do it, I can do it, right? And you'll learn from that. And over time, it'll build up your mentality where you'll start to formulate ideas and opinions of yourself and another person. Like, this person, you know, is not that good as I thought he was, right? And I think I can.
Yeah, exactly. You're no longer, you're putting that woman on a pedestal anymore. She farts too, doesn't she?
Right. Right. And
well,
that's how
it's a relationship business too, right? Like
100%.
And it
so
makes them feel like, you know, they're on the same team. Like when you're there for them, you know, it makes them feel like they're not doing this alone, and that's the most important.
Huge thing on getting your mentality where you need to be, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another point that I learned. I learned this by reading a book on hip hop, and I learned through hip hop the history of hip hop. And I think it was a dude named KRS-One who was writing about it, and he talked about when people.
KRS-One is the god. Let's just put that out there. Like he's hip hop.
KRS is a legend. KRS is up there, right? And I was at the library reading. I just picked up a little book from KRS-One, and he was talking about how his name was Travis Parker, right? And he couldn't be a rapper named Travis Parker, right? It's just kind of lame, right? He couldn't be that, so he had to create somebody, and he created Knowledge Reigns Supreme, which is KRS-One. He would talk about all the old school guys created somebody else. Like Travis Parker couldn't do this, right? But KRS-One could. Mm-hmm. Even though they're the same people, you're kind of tricking yourself into being somebody else, right? That you probably are not, or probably would doubt. So in reading this, I learned that when they used to rap back in the day, they would rap about things and talk about things and having things that they did not have, right? Until it started to formulate, and then they had it.
Ha, spoken word, baby.
And that's the thing that I learned about mentality is, and I teach this to my acquisition team. They think it's weird, but it's just me being me. As I have people create an identity, right? Create yourself, right?
Alter ego.
Alter ego, create somebody, right? It could be whatever you want, right? For me, it could be, mine is Poppy Wapple. So when Poppy Wapple,
what is it?
Poppy Wapple.
Poppy Wappo, I love
Poppy
it.
Wapple. When Poppy Wapple gets on the phone, I'm a different person. I'm smooth, I'm confident, right? I have a little bit of swag. I can talk to people and figure out solutions. That's what Poppy Wapple do. Because Ray is not that person. Ray is Ray is scared, he's fearful. So if you start doing that, you'll create a different mentality for yourself where you have an identity that you created. And it's kind of like people doing acting when they act. They create a mentality of a person that they're not, right? And that's pretty much what you're doing, is you're kind of faking it till you make it, until you start making calls. If you do that, right? If you start doing anything in life that you want to apply to yourself, and then you get that confidence, and then you can go back to being Ray, you know, or being Dom, or being Dustin again.
Well, remember how I can't dance? Like your like pseudonym is so cool compared to my nerdy name. So mine is D Stunner. So
okay, ain't nothing right. D Stunner, ain't nothing wrong with that. That sounds like a wrestling. That sounds like a wrestler.
Yeah, maybe like Lucha Libre, put the mask on. So there's a couple things that I think I might be able to provide value to you. Maybe you've read these things, maybe you know about them or not, but summaries of very, very high level, all kinds of different literature. Blinkist, are you familiar with the app Blinkist? So it's 15-minute books. And so my mentor would go into a dark room in his manufacturing warehouse where no one would know where he is, and he would spend 15 minutes listening to this book, and you would basically understand the 3 key points and the principle of operation for a series of books or a series of topics that these very sophisticated authors are covering. So Blinkist is a good one, and then I'm a reader too. So what you're referring to in the book? Have you read the book Psycho-Cybernetics?
Of course.
Yeah. So the success mechanism, right? And
yes.
so when you see someone else do it, then you understand that it can be done. When you create that alter ego of someone who can do it, then you can imagine a world where it can be done. And then when you use spoken word, right, and just like the rappers that are going and saying these things are true, I am the best, I am better than the rest. I get loose off of orange juice is a Tribe Called Quest line, right? So I used to follow underground hip hop, and I went to school in Milwaukee, and half of the city is in very, very rough areas, and the other half of the city is not in our big frat house kind of thing, was in the rough area. And so we had some of the coolest freestyle circles I've ever seen in my entire life. Super cool.
Were you in any of them?
Well, I
He attended.
well, yes, I'm gonna.
He attended. He was
He was a hype man in the back.
It might have just been passing that blunt around, but I was in the circle with certainty.
Guilty by association. That's all you need.
So that success mechanism is critical, so if you can see it, then that's the beginning. If you can imagine yourself doing it one day, then that is the next step. And then the spoken word, the thing that you're actually taking the action to say, this is going to be manifesting it in your life, right? And then actually doing the work deed. And so I could see how you have become the king because that mental prowess, the capability to understand that you can do anything you want to do, and being able to read between the lines of the conversation. There's a lot of things that go into the things that you're referring to, but it starts with knowing that you can do it. The belief
is half the battle. If you can. So little thing I learned, a little jug that I'll give to everybody, a little nugget, is majority of people are pessimists. If you can just get to thinking positive, you already won half the battle. A lot of people go into a fight thinking, I'm going to lose. I'm pretty much going to lose this fight. But you've already lost. But if you go into the fight thinking that, you've already run like half the battle. Now the next is just, whooping some butt. But if you go into that mindset, it doesn't matter what you tackle down. Like you cannot be defeated. No one can defeat you. And that's how I approach these deals when I'm talking to sellers on the phone. Is you just can't beat me. Well, knowledge-wise, you can't beat me. I know you don't know more than I do. I know what's best for you because I've dove into it. I've studied it. I've mastered it. Right. So I've already mentally halfway there in the battle where I know that I know probably what's best for you. Right. And there's sometimes that people do beat me up over the phone. Very rarely, but I do get beat up. But it's just my mentality. My thinking is when I'm coming into this thing, like I know what you need, I know what you want, right? I know how to help you when doing this. So if I've already got the mentality there, there's no need for me to have hesitation. There's no need for me to kind of think like, what's my next conversation and what do I say next and what's going to happen here and what's going to happen there. And I tell people when you have that mentality, it's something that makes you unstoppable, right? Like nothing can stop you, right? No question can stop you. No answer can stop you. It doesn't matter, right? Because you're going to play the ropes, right? And whichever way you'll go, you'll swing with it, right? And that's the mentality that most people, like you have to have that. You have to start developing that mentality in all day life to get you where you need to go because it's not productive to do anything else, right? To go into something thinking like, man, I can't, wholesaling is just so hard. That's counterproductive, right? You're just going to make it hard for yourself. If you think about it like, hey, this is easy and I'm going to accomplish this thing, nothing can stop me. That's the mentality that you have. Like you're already halfway there. All you have to do is just keep going, keep going.
Completely agree. It's beautifully said. Because I mean, everybody else is overcomplicating. There's layers of building yourself as a human, right? In order to approach a homeowner and have the confidence, you have to know something about the property. You have to know something about the nature of your business. So I mean, all of the people that are starting on a different end of the spectrum where Spray was, Ray, when did you start this business? How long ago?
2018.
28, brand new. I mean, you have learned, holy cow, that's congratulations, man.
But forget, so 2018, 2019, I went bankrupt. So Alex Sines did a challenge that you couldn't take your family on a trip, and I did it. And I did a few more after that, and I went bankrupt. So for a whole year, I was ducking and hiding everybody I could that had anything to do with real estate. And I didn't come back really until 2020, right before COVID hit.
Wow. Good for you, man. Congratulations. That's it's so cool. I want to go deeper into that story, but I know that this is not the appropriate forum for it. So I appreciate you letting everybody know that this shit isn't easy. I mean, that is really difficult, and losses happen. I mean, I could go through since 2003 to today. I repeat that story how many times you want. I mean, not necessarily bankruptcy, but there's versions of that story every few years that I have, because we have to hit these things hard. We have to experiment. We have to take risks, and sometimes those risks don't go the way that we would hope, but you have planned enough to understand what your downside risk is. Mine at the beginning, I was delivering pizzas for Domino's, right? So like my downside risk was, well, at least I could make money delivering pizzas for Domino's. And so you got to start where you are, and then you got to learn, absorb everything you can, and lean on people like Ray when you need some help, right?
100%.
It's cool.
100%.
So creative structure, that's your gig, and you're going to be working with other people on the creative structure. Can other people the other people can bring you their deals, and you can help them? Is there anything else that you want to offer to the community outside of the $200 you're about to give away? I don't know, Dom, we have a lot of action, people tagging everybody around here. So I'd love to give away more than $200. What do you think? Yeah, Ray says yeah. Ray says yeah. Let's do this,
man. You got to give people value. That's what people want. They want massive value. So you got to give them. So you, completely. I don't mind giving it. So to answer your question, how I can be, I'm always of assistance. People can bring me deals all day long. I will never be the type of person who you can't bring deals to. You can't reach me. You can't talk to me. You guys bring me deals, like we'll analyze them, we'll go over them. I don't care where they're at or how they look at. A lot of people who know me in the group, who are on right now, know me, know how I move. I'm a genuine dude. I don't think I'm bigger than nobody. I'm just an average guy. So I tell people, like, don't be scared to reach out to me. Totally. If not, jump in my inbox and I'll reach out to you, just so you can get over that fear. But everybody can bring deals to me. Everybody can look at anything that they're working on in their market, and I'm down to kind of look at it and show you guys, like, hey, here's the best option. Here's the best option for you guys to kind of move on the deal. So
cool. Well,
let me throw this out there. Next 5 people who inbox me and reach out to me, I will personally work on the deal with them. How about that?
Hey, next 5 people that message him, Ray, inbox him on Instagram or Facebook. He will help you with the deal. That's amazing. And so what else is amazing is Ray is about to give away 3 gift cards. They're going to work on, how many are you trying to keep this year? How many are you trying to keep this year? Bam Bam is asking. I'm guessing that is a reference to how many houses you want to buy?
So my goal is 100 doors is my goal to
100 color doors.
100 color doors is my goal to get this year. So I don't think that's a big goal. I've been jumping into a lot of multifamily. I did not know how easy these things are to pick up when you're talking to people, mainly in the Midwest. Arizona's a little bit tough, trying to work out some deals with multifamily just because how the market is. But in the Midwest, there are people who are just so tired of being landlords that I do a strategy that's called a down payment arbitrage, where I'll pay them for whatever cash flow they have and just take over the property, and I'll work out trying to get financing and figuring everything out. So I think it's going to be super easy to hit that goal. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. I'm not pressing either or. I know in my lifetime I will hit that goal.
Totally, dude. That's super cool. I love it. So reach out to Ray, and I think that we're working on getting some. Dom, how are we going to do the coupons?
I got in the private chat there. I got 3 guys. They've been putting a lot of comments in.
Okay, cool. So Ray, so here's an idea just to throw this out there. So for the people getting the data or getting these coupons or finding these opportunities, we're doing this every Wednesday. And so if people that want to be prepared, if you tag more people than anyone else, like wink, wink, you're gonna win, right? So tag a bunch of people and you win the contest.
Tag a bunch of people, get free data. It doesn't have to be complicated.
And so what I would encourage people to do is, Ray's talking about how he made the bridge from Arizona to Kansas and another market. And so use your opportunities to make that just small bridge and see what you can tip your toes. And the first one is not going to be a win, most likely, right? Second one probably isn't going to be one. Third one, fourth one, right? But it takes hard work and dedication and bankruptcy and ebbs and flows and delivering pizzas. So it takes hard work and dedication to do this. So
I'm going to share a little bit of honesty with everybody. I like to be straightforward. I also like to be honest with people. I like to be down to earth and humble. My first creative deal was so bad. Everything went wrong. Paperwork went wrong paperwork. I had to go back to the title company and realize the title company couldn't even close on the actual deal. So I had to find an attorney and go through an attorney. And I was trying to do a double contract for deed, which I didn't realize I had to learn the in strategy and the out strategy on how to do things. I was just trying to do it, and I stumbled so much on the first one. I learned a lot from it to get me to this point where now I'm cash flowing 300 on that first one. So it took a lot, and it literally took 6 months of follow up to convince the owner to actually sell her property to us. We were just going back and forth. We were stumbling. We sent her the wrong contract, and she's like, "Wait a minute, this is not the right contract, and you guys missed something here, and you missed something there." And it was a long, dragged out 6 months process. And I think for a majority of people, they don't try to build that calluses, and they don't try to hang on in the game that long where they can actually learn the lesson that they're supposed to learn.
That's right. Huh, that's cool. I like that a lot. I mean, there's so much other hidden meaning in what you just said, but thank you for saying it. It's cool. How did you get the balls to jump right into creative deals? They scare me. Man, me too, brother. We can go to a support group, or we can go to Ray's support group for that. What was it called? I wrote it down. Out of the box investors. Investors.
It's not AA. It's called Ray Ray.
Yeah.
So, how I got into that. So to get the tenacity to do that is no different than wholesale. Now, I know there's a different world of wholesale. I watch all the gurus when it comes to I watch the gurus for wholesale. I watch the gurus for creative financing, right? And I'm gonna be honest, most of these guys don't know what they're doing either, right? They find people who know what they're doing. That's the key, right? To getting into it. Mentors another way to get into it. If you really want to get the gonads to get into it, bro, you just get into it, right? And the way I do it is I'm a reader, so I have a few books on creative financing that I found at the library for free. The first one was Joe McCall, Lease Option. That was like the first book I ever had. I read that, and 4 pages in, I'm on the phone pitching, right? I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't even know what a lease option is, but 4 pages in, I'm already pitching this idea like, hey, would you do a lease option? Would you take a lease option? Right? People are like, what is that? Good question. Let me call you back.
I need to get to page 5.
Let me get to the rest of the pages, right? And that's how you and I tell people, like, a lot of people are terrified to jump in there, but the thing is, I tell everybody, is the people on the other side of the phone, A, can't hurt you. Right? B, half the times they think you're the expert, right? Even though you're not. If you even sound half confident, right, they will listen to you.
That's right.
They really will. If you just sound half confident, like, ma'am, I can do a lease option on your property, right? And this is how it works. I'm going to put this much down and pay this much rent, right? They will be like, oh, okay, you can do that? Yes, I can, right? Meanwhile, you're trying to figure out, okay, what paperwork do I need? How do I do this? Who can I call? How can I figure it out? The best way to get out there, man, is to jump. That's it. You just have to jump out there with your hair flying back. Don't worry about getting bumped, bruised on the way down, and just get back up when you're done.
Josh Altman, he's I don't know, Beverly Hills Realtor, one of those shows. His line is ready. What is it called?
$1 Million Listing.
$1 Million Listing. So his line is ready, fire, aim. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take a leap in life to be successful. I mean, anyone who's been successful in life has had to take a leap of faith. I mean, I take this with me everywhere, and I say in life and in success, you got to be willing to jump off that cliff and try to build a parachute on the way down.
Totally. So Ray's giving out a coupon today, 20% off of data. You use the code CREATIVE on GeoPoint Data. And then Ray, do you see the private remarks? You want to announce our winners? We got 3 people that are going to get a coupon for $200 each of GeoPoint Data's data.
So the 3 are Benny, Benjamin, and Bam Bam.
Benny, the B's, the B cubed. Benny, Benjamin, and Bam Bam. Bam Bam, good to see you, man. You, Benny and Benjamin, congratulations. It's awesome. Use the data to experiment with something new. Try something new. Try. Hey, what do you do for data on your creative deals? So when you're looking, a lot of people are trying to go after data that other people are going after, especially in the major metropolitan areas, right? So when you're looking for creative data, what are you focusing your efforts on?
So when I look at creative data, there's what I'm looking for is things that can't sell. So I'm looking at expired listings. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for dead leads for any wholesaler out there who has dead leads, right? Because these are people who already made offers that I know you can't wholesale. And I'm also looking for tired landlords. This is huge when it comes to pre-post COVID. After the COVID, it's still COVID. There are some landlords who are not getting rent. Their tenants are tearing it up. These are the best people to start talking to figure out how you can solve their problem and really just take them away from being a landlord and let me be the landlord, and I'll take over the deal. And a lot of people are thinking this. For me, I'm starting to collect doors through creative financing, but you can do so many different options, right? And majority of these is you don't need to know the ins and outs of them, right? Mm-hmm. All you need to know is how to pitch it, how to put it on the contract, right? And a lot of deals you can do, people don't know this, you can do a deal on a napkin, right? You can do a purchase agreement on a napkin, right? If you know the basics to what a contract needs to have to give you equitable interest. So you can do deals simply with just a lease option agreement, and you can wholesale that. That's the new thing about getting creative and doing wholesaling for people who are trying to get started off. It's literally just a conversation, right? It's literally, ma'am, hey, I really can't give you market value, but if I were to give you market value, right, would you be interested, right? And I say, yes, okay. Well, if I were to give you, and you figure out what the problem is, if I were to solve this problem and solve this problem and solve this problem, right, would you be willing to wait, 2 or 3 years to get paid out? Yes, okay. Let me send this contract to you. You send that contract over, and that's a wholesale deal. Like, people are now looking like, that's it. I don't need to figure out anything else. I got a wholesale deal. It's a lease option, right? Who wants it? Mm-hmm. And you'd be amazed at so many people that are no bank, no qualifying. I don't need none of that. 20 down, 30 down, 40 down. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And that's
Ray, you're one of those people. You're collecting doors. I want Ray. If you ever find a deal, I'm really looking to put some of my money, a fair amount of my money, into subject to deals, and we're trying to decide which markets we would choose. But I'm certain Kansas would be one of them, and I'm certain Houston would be one of them. So I'd love to go deeper into that. But specifically for the group, generally, Ray's buying doors. So bring him every opportunity you got, and he'll help you. If it's not locked in contract already, if it's locked in contract, I'm sure he'd love to see it too, right?
100%. And I went over one on my stories about how I use an option agreement to do a lot of business on a duplex that I really don't want to buy myself. Maybe I will, maybe I won't if that's the last option. But what I do is I set up just a basic option agreement. And a lot of people are worried about the paperwork and how to do the paperwork and where to get the paperwork from. And I got a lot of guys paying 10, 20, 30 grand just to get some paperwork. And I posted a few times that I just went to Office Max and seen half the paperwork in their legal. So like
I know what you're talking about. Those like little racks, like you just pull out the pieces of paper.
$9.99, right? The land contract, promissory note, it's all there, right? And a lot of people are not using the greatest resource on planet Earth when it comes to information, which is the internet. And just kind of looking it up, researching it. Google is doing big things. So if you literally put it in there like, hey, what contracts do I need to do this? I'm pretty sure you will find it on Google. Majority of the contracts I pull them literally off the internet. I'll go to eForms, I'll go to Business in the Box, right? I'll collect these forms and that's it. So I have an option. I use an option agreement where I just pitched to the owner that I'm not sure if I might be interested in buying this. But I do have investors in my area, and I have friends that will more likely be more interested than I am. But I legally can't show this to them without some type of agreement between us. And that's when I will use my option. I'll pitch that, and now I'm out wholesaling it. I have 60 days to look for financing. I have 60 days to inspect the property, right? The homeowner is cool. It's one way, right, where I don't have to buy this property if I don't want to. I'm under no obligation if I were to send a purchase contract, right? I literally say it's an offer, right? I might consider it if I can work out inspection and I can work out financing, right? Yep. But it does give me equitable interest where I can market this property and send it to people and say, hey, would you like this deal? Would you check this deal out? I have a deal, right? Here is that. That's a simple solution to doing creative financing, or I like to call it creative structuring, and wholesaling. 5, 10 grand.
I agree. Bam Bam, I gotta go. I got a meeting at 4:30. It's so we have 4 minutes, Ray, and I'd like you to answer this one because I love the question. So here's the setup. Bam Bam asks, can you structure a deal if the property has 2 owners? One wants to sell, but the other wants to keep renting. It's a good property with good income. Okay.
One wanted to keep renting, meaning they're not living.
One wants to keep the cash flow as an investor, I assume, right? And the other says, this is the market's at the market peak. Get me out. But he can't make a decision without the other one.
So these are, to me, they're very super easy. So there's an agreement for deed. You can literally buy that one person out, right? I would, if it's a nice property, if it's in Phoenix and it's nice, I would pull up my cash and I would be partners with that other person who think it's high, right? And we would be both owners on it. They probably would love and adore me as being part of the deal. So you can do an agreement of deed where you would actually buy the deed from one person, right? While they still keep their other half. So, and you can also wholesale them. Those are wholesale deals where people will actually want to buy and be on the deed themselves, right? So they can go in on the property. I know some guys who would be itching to start rehabbing it as soon as possible, or start renting it out, and asking the other person to start paying out or start contributing to the actual deal, just so they can move them along with motivation.
Completely agree. I think that's a beautiful answer. I think that's exactly how you would do that. And so I think you mentioned it earlier, you offer and you pay them cash for their cash flow. That's basically what you're doing here. So I appreciate the technical explanation, but Bam Bam, hopefully that answered your question. I got to get out of here, guys. Ray, man, hey, great hanging out with you. Let's follow up with that lunch and those tacos, and maybe even a little dancing.
Let's do it. Don't say that, because we will be dancing.
That's awesome. Well, I'll definitely see you within the next couple of weeks for sure before we go vacationing for the summer. So I'd love to get together and we'll make that happen. Thanks, brother. Really appreciate it. Dom, thanks for setting this up.
Appreciate you guys for putting me on. Thank you guys, and thank everybody for the support. Make sure everybody reaches out to me. Thank you guys.
Appreciate you, Ray.
Thank you, Dom.